Welcome back to another episode of the Elevated Chat Room. Elevate your mind, elevate your life. We're glad to be back. We got a special guest with us on tonight, Miss Leslie Scott. She's a social worker and an advocate. But before I let her introduce herself, let me tell you what the topic is. Spiritual abuse is real. Are leaders above correction? All right, Miss Leslie Scott, kind of tell them a little bit more about yourself.
Hi, everyone. My name is Leslie Scott. I am a licensed master social worker. Grew up in the Shoals area, born in Florence. Went to Brooks High School. Went to UNA, got my bachelor's in social work, my master's in social work as well. I'm just for the people, for the community. A lot of people say I'm very radical, can be. So kind of shake the table a little bit, make some noise. So I'm all about the betterment of our community and our people.
That's good. So with that personality, I'm pretty sure that comes with a lot of confidence and a lot of courage.
It is. But I've always been like this.
Okay.
So growing up, my parents were like, okay, this is you. So don't let nobody take your voice away. Don't shy away from saying things that need to be said because you're uncomfortable. I never feel uncomfortable being you. So I took that and I ran with it. Maybe a little too hard, but hey, this is me. It is what it is. You get what you see what you get. You get what you see. So
have you had any pushback?
I get pushback all the time.
Okay. So you get the pushback. So then what?
I don't care. Like, especially if I'm saying things, because a lot of the work I do, I advocate for people that don't have a voice, who don't have the ability to say certain things or be in certain conversations. So with me being in that role, the opposition, like whatever, I handle conflict very well. Pushback, I don't really care too much of it. That's your opinion, but I'm still gonna say what needs to be said and do what needs to be done at the end of the day.
Yeah. So, and that's kind of, I had to take on that role sometimes on my job because I'm the union rep. And it's like in that moment, look, I'm not concerned about, first off, I am concerned about the people that I'm representing, their rights.
Absolutely.
So once you take their rights away from them, then that's when we have a problem.
Yeah.
Because they can't speak up for themselves. And sometimes they don't even know that their rights have been taken away.
Yeah.
And it's like, hey, I'm here for you because you're not able to speak or you don't know when to speak or if you should be speaking.
Exactly. And especially like with people in the community, like navigating through different systems or just different challenges, whether that's legal or, any social matter, just being that voice for them, because I've seen people get taken advantage of in those circumstances. So I don't have any ties to any local agencies or whatever. So I can hit hard with everybody.
So
and
we need that.
Absolutely.
We need that. So let's go into the first question here. Is like I said, spiritual abuse is real. And are leaders above correction? So my first question is, can someone trust church again after being hurt?
First, I would like for us to establish what church hurt is.
Okay.
I feel a lot of times people misconstrue church hurt and spiritual abuse. In my opinion, church hurt, a lot of church hurt we see now, it involves people not taking direction or correction. So you can heal from church hurt, but it's going to take time. And I feel a lot of people, they don't give the time to kind of process what really happened. I work a lot with women who are, trying to work through church hurt, and I'm pulling memories back that they had pushed back. So we need to become more comfortable with actually addressing, okay, what is church hurt? What does that look like? Because my church hurt may be different from somebody else's church hurt.
That's true. That's good.
So I like to just ask, like, what have you experienced in church? Who was this in leadership or was this congregation? Because a lot of people, they take, which we know the church, the physical building isn't the church.
Okay.
So when people talk about church hurt, a lot of times they got into it with somebody in a congregation, and it becomes more of that issue than conflict with leadership or the spiritual abuse aspect of it. So it's kind of like a gray area between church hurt and spiritual abuse, but you can move past each one. It's going to take time. And like I said, people don't take the time to kind of navigate through what that is. They don't address the feelings that come with it.
I can see that. So sometimes I look at it too as like when people are going through church hurt, it's like sometimes they use that as a reason or an excuse to leave the church and to get further away from God.
Yeah.
Have you seen that?
I've absolutely seen that, and it's gotten to the point where I'm like, okay, you get mad at one church, you stop going, but when you get into it with your coworkers,
Come on, that's
you're,
good.
you're still going to work. But I understand, like, because I know where I am in my spirituality, in my relationship with Christ and church. I come to church, I'm there to worship. I don't see nobody else. Well, I see people, but I'm just focused on Christ in that moment. And some people, they can't get to that point after being church hurt. So I don't know. I feel, next question. Next question.
I've seen you got a little trying to hold back that fire you got.
Yeah, I'm trying to.
I've noticed though, that a lot of church hurt outside of if it's just church or you get into it with somebody that's just a member. But I noticed that a lot of church hurt only happens in certain type of churches when it comes to leadership to congregation. You know, how they have it set up, how, I don't know what it is, but I just noticed like certain churches, like you don't really get that, the leadership hurt. You get just the person.
It's more personal.
Yeah.
It's more personal matters. And at that point, I'm like, okay, is this church hurt or is this just an internal conflict with somebody within the church?
Right.
And I feel a lot of times they're not distinguishing the difference between the two. So is it church hurt or did you just get into it with somebody at church?
Yeah. Okay. See, that's what I was getting at.
And a lot of people don't like to be held accountable in church, which that brings another layer to, again, is this church hurt? What is church hurt to you?
Yeah. So was this really somebody hurting your feelings, somebody genuinely offended you, or did somebody come across making correction to you? And they may have even done it in the wrong way, but
Absolutely.
even though they did it in the wrong way, the spirit behind it was the intent to help you.
Yeah.
So we have to learn how to differentiate between the two.
We do. And I feel like now we're living in an era where people don't like being corrected. People live by, I'm grown. You can't tell me what to do. But I'm like, if we're all here in church, like we have to hold each other accountable. We have to if you can't have a hard conversation at church, where can you have a hard conversation?
Right. And it's almost like, hey, if you're literally doing something that has to be corrected or needs to be corrected, that's part of being in the church. That's part of being in a church that's looking to build you up as a person.
Absolutely.
Or even if you got a group of friends that's not necessarily in the church building, but you're out and you hang with your church members, that's still the church.
Yeah.
So if you're like, me and Dwayne always say, like, our circle of men, it cannot be men that are not good fathers and not good husbands.
Yeah.
Point blank, period.
Yeah.
Because you're not going to like being around us because we're going to correct you so much to the point that you want to leave.
Absolutely.
So, I mean, if you're looking to grow, you should.
People aren't looking to grow. And I've learned that a lot. And I feel a lot of times people get comfortable. I always say there's no growth in comfort. So,
I like that.
And a lot of times you have people that are new to the church. Like I look at me, I've been to church my whole life. So I'm seeing people that are kind of new to church or those that are coming back to church modern day. I don't want to say they're the main ones that kind of feel that conflict within the church, but I feel like we're in a transition period between old church and new church. So I feel the newer members that are coming in, I think they take things. I mean, I will say in church, there are certain members in church that they don't care how something comes out. They're gonna say how they feel on the front end, like real blunt. Like, if you're not used to hearing that in church, that can kind of push people away.
Right.
So it's like a double-edged sword. You want to hold people accountable, but everything has to be done decently and in order. And that's where I feel everything just falls apart.
Yeah. And it's like, we're talking about church hurt as in like from just like a member to member and holding each other accountable. But I've also seen where the leadership, pastors, or whatever the title they're wearing, using or wearing, they don't want nobody to come up and correct them or bring
Absolutely.
issues to them or let them know that they're flawed. And it doesn't matter how you do it. You know, there is sometimes it's just not received well,
It
and
is.
they feel like they are above approach. And it's like, well, man, like if I'm a leader, even in my home, in my marriage, if my wife and my sons can't come to me and be like, hey, dad, like we didn't like that, or you dropped the ball on that, and I can't say, well, yeah, that's my fault. Let me
Yeah.
work on that. I see where I did mess that up. You know, my bad. I got you next time.
Yeah.
Like how and then really make an effort.
A part of leadership, accountability comes with leadership. And I feel that kind of distinguishes who can be, everybody can't be a leader. Everybody is not fit to lead.
Shouldn't be a leader.
Should not, cannot.
Right.
And so if you are in an environment where leadership is, that's how leadership is, I would remove yourself. Because like you said, you have to hold each other accountable. And if there's a leader, that's a dictatorship, in my opinion. If, oh, you got the crown on, can't nobody, ask you anything or, try to present something in a different opinion or a different context. And you get challenged, you're offended by that.
Yeah.
That, I don't think that's a good leader. And I feel in the church, we've gotten so used to not, don't question anything.
Yes.
Don't say nothing. I don't go by that.
Right.
Like, even as a young girl, I had questions. I grew up in church. I started out at a private biblical school before I went to public school in 3rd grade. So I grew up in church. Church was at home. Church was at school.
Yeah.
Church was church. We was at church several times a week. So I had questions growing up, and, certain people, they wouldn't let me ask questions, but you have to ask questions. Somebody can't learn. So as a leader, you have to be able to kind of take that in. Like, okay, let me kind of think things in a different manner, or let me approach this situation this way.
Yes.
So that I'm not putting my members, you know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
putting my members in a certain type of position.
Yeah, you can't. You're not going to be able to truly be the best leader possible if you don't look at things from different perspectives. And if you
Exactly.
don't have a team that's not fully yes men, which we're probably going to get into that a little bit later. But if you got a bunch of yes men, then they're just going to take on your mindset, your personality, and your perspective.
Yeah.
So what's the point?
Yeah.
So you ain't gonna get that growth.
Yeah, there's no growth. Like, there's no growth and comfort in a lot of the church. It's a lot of comfort in the church.
Yeah. And another thing is, like, I've noticed, like, they're like, some of the leaders like to blame it on their personality.
Oh, that's just how I am.
Yeah, that's who I am.
That's a character
Like,
flaw.
no.
That's a character flaw. You can fix
You're
that.
rude.
You can fix that. You need to, you know what I'm saying? And that's why I love where I am now at church, because I have grown up in churches, or not even just straight from the pulpit or leadership, just deacons or
The
just
culture.
members of the congregation. Like, they don't want you asking questions. They don't want you to question their behavior.
Yep.
They always say respect your elders. And I always say, if an elder talk to me crazy, I'm gonna respect you. I'm gonna respect you, but I'm gonna say what I need to say respectfully.
I got you. I like that.
Yeah. Respectfully. Nobody is above question in the church. And I feel people think they are.
Yeah.
Like, you don't know everything. Like, we're growing as a church together.
And that's what creates a bad culture. Like, you can sense after you've been at church for a while, like the culture, the atmosphere, like the way everybody moves. It's like, oh man, these people here are genuinely happy to be here. They're happy to serve God. They're happy to serve people. And then you get those type of culture where it's like it's kind of tense in there.
Yeah.
It's tight in there.
There's no freedom. There's no, you can't ask anything.
Yeah.
There's no communication. Like, you come to church, the pastor preach, he tell you what it is, you going about your business. There's no community. There's no community. Shout out to Living Word Community.
Got a free plug right
Shout
there.
out.
Let me ask you this next question then. How do you balance honoring leadership with calling out wrong behavior? How you find that balance? What do you do?
I think we have to get to a point where we understand just honoring somebody that doesn't require silence. Because I think a lot of times churches, like, again, back to the whole don't question anything. They think if you ask too many questions or you have a different opinion on something, you're dishonorable. You're not honoring, leadership. You're not honoring the church, the Bible. But that's self. You have to hold people accountable. You have to have honest conversations.
That's good. I like what you said. The first thing you said, honor is in silence. Like honor isn't necessarily me. I'm not honoring you by just being quiet.
Yes.
It's more so like, no, I honor you because you're at a certain position which you should be held. You supposed to be held to a higher standard. So if I'm going to honor you, then I need to know what I'm honoring.
Exactly.
And if what I'm honoring has some flaws that I know that we all know needs to be, upgraded.
And
come on.
I feel that in the Black community, not necessarily just agreeing with something off rip, that was looked at as being disrespectful. And I feel a lot of times in the church,
You on point.
if you're not, you're right. You're not right. But if you're just going with whatever is being presented, that's respectful. But if you shake the table a little bit, you're disrespectful, you're not honoring Christ. You kind of get put in the bad corner. So we got to get to a point where, again, everybody in the church has to be held accountable. Everybody has to feel comfortable being corrected in certain situations.
That's on point. And I've seen it, lived it, you know. And yeah, it's like, man, it's like, and even if you form a board and you put all the people that's gonna pretty much do as you want.
You say,
or you get in your see, that's what another thing is. We're all human. I don't care what your title is. So you got to get in your feelings, as we say. And if you're a pastor and you get in your feelings and nobody else can help you make a decision, there's no board, there's no team, there's no, diversity on the board, different mindsets, people from different backgrounds. So it's like every decision that's made in the church is pretty much made by you.
Yeah, and that's reflective of somebody that does not need to be in leadership.
Exactly.
And I feel a lot, especially in this area, I feel there are a lot of people that mishear the word or mishear a calling. And I feel there are a lot of people in positions that have no business being in those positions. And that's revealed in how they lead.
Yeah. But they're so smooth, though. Some of them are very smooth. Like they call it the charismatic movement.
Oh, absolutely.
And this is all over I see it on Facebook. I see it on YouTube. Like, it's just real smooth talking, and they like bring these props up and they do all these different things, but
and don't even be talking about nothing. It's just fluff.
So, and then you go back and you really study the word what they say. It's like, no, bro, that's not what that meant.
Exactly.
That's not why. That is not why he wrote what he wrote. He was speaking to these people. This was what was going on during that time. This is why he had to write this word, and this is what this word actually means when you take it and you take it and put it in Hebrew.
Yeah.
It's a different meaning to these different things. But if you just sit there and listen to them, it's like, bro, he killed it. He fired. And then next thing you know, it's like, oh, he ain't even teaching the truth.
No. And nobody's going to question that because he can, like you said, he can smooth talk. if you can smooth talk and you can kind of lead a little bit, you can be a pastor.
But if you sit back and you see the fruit, and I'm not talking about material things.
Yeah.
When I say fruit, I'm talking about the character. I'm talking about the integrity, long suffering. How you honor people, self-control. Yeah. Like these different. That's what I'm talking about when I say fruit.
It's going to be revealed sooner or later. Yes. So I definitely think, and that can lead to another conversation of who's putting these people in position, because I personally know, some pastors, not even just here locally, but I'm like, who gave you a church? Like, who put you in charge of a congregation to lead?
And I be trying to figure out why so many people got so many titles.
Hey.
Like, that be my thing. I'm like, bro.
Bishop, pastor, reverend, archbishop, like.
I'm like, you everything. Like, you everything.
Yeah. So, and I feel that when you get to preachers like that, again, everything is always going to be revealed in leadership. And and especially leadership can kind of trickle down to the congregation. So you can kind of see how the congregation moves. Like,
the culture.
Okay.
It creates a culture.
Yeah, like I'm going to stay over there because I visited some churches and I'm like, I'm never coming back. Skip past, go, never coming back. It creates
a culture, just like a head coach.
It's toxic.
The team takes on the head coach's personality. Whatever he allows and doesn't allow, that's how that team is going to flow.
Yeah, and there's no questioning. There's nothing. I'll say a little bit. There's some cult churches around here
We said
we're not finna get into that.
it's funny you said that because my wife was talking about it, and I'll probably talk about this with quite a few people. I was like, there are some churches that are not cults, but they're very cultish.
Yes, cult-like.
Yes,
cult adjacent.
Very, very. And you sit back and watch, you be like, man, you manipulative.
Yeah,
you controlling.
And you know what's crazy? Even as like a young child, because we used to have a second service every Sunday growing up, and we would visit some churches. Even as a young girl, I'm like, this don't sound right. Like. Just the energy is off, and if I go to a church and the energy is off, I that's not a safe place for me. So I will not be. I'm not in the mix.
I've learned that.
Not in the mix.
That's good stuff. So let me ask you this then: why do some churches silence or shame people who raise concerns?
Because leadership does not want to be handled. But again, I wouldn't even put myself in that position to be a member of a church where there's no community. There's no, because I know with me and my pastor, I can call him and I can have a conversation with him, ask him questions, or we don't have to agree on everything. And I love that. We can have genuine conversation. I'm like, you know what? I respect your opinion. However, I believe this. And I feel those type of conversations are necessary. The old church used to really silence everybody that kind of rocked the boat a little bit. They used to sit people down, publicly shame people, and I'm so glad we're moving past that. That just goes back. People don't want to be questioned. They don't want to be held accountable. When did accountability get lost in the church?
Man,
was it ever there?
That's what I was about to get at.
Was it ever there?
It was hid. It was literally hid. Like you would think, because we're just sitting back growing up, and it's like, oh, everything's been handled the right way. But then as you get older, you understand, like, oh no, I just was blind to it.
Absolutely. And I will say this, like, my mom has always been either bless you. She's either been she's been in some type of leadership role behind the scenes. Mm-hmm. So I've always heard me being a nosy child while she on the phone, people peeking behind the door. Like, I always kind of knew the background of what was going on in church, which I was going to pick up on that anyway because I was nosy and I was very inquisitive as a child. So just growing up, we were blind to it. But sometimes looking back, I'm like, you know what? That was plain. That was right in our face.
But we just didn't know to look for it.
We didn't know what to look for.
Because we were pretty much, I'm going to say being brainwashed.
We were. Let's call it what it was. When we look back in the old church, the teachings that were taught, that wasn't biblical. They were just getting up there saying whatever came to their head. There was no biblical teaching being taught, and I feel that has led to us nowadays, we're having to relearn. I had to relearn the Bible as I got older. I had to kind of separate what I was taught growing up to where I am now. Yeah. And how that translates into modern day. So...
yeah, because it's like if you just straight up just trust a pastor and you don't do any Bible study yourself, you don't find you a good biblical based word truth type documentary, a document. What's it? Doctrine. And what's the little like the Sunday school books you would get back in the day? You had to go through them. Commentary. Yeah. So if you find you a good commentary that's strictly on the word, then you start realizing like, man, bro, I missed a lot. I missed a lot. And then going, like, one thing that stood out to me when you were saying, and kind of just sparked my mind when it says, why do some churches silence or shame people who raise concerns? Because they lose control. And once you lose control, you lose power and persuasion. So they're always after control. They're always after trying to be the main person that influences your thoughts and your minds and who you connect with and who you and where you go and how you move. And they'll also... they do things like, well, the power is here. Yeah. Like there's no other church in the world that's doing what we're doing. And I'm like, how? So you got a special anointing, a special power gift that no other church in the whole United States or the world has? Yeah. Like what makes you that special?
They want to silence anybody that is going to speak up because once you start speaking up, you start shaking systems.
There you go.
Once you start addressing the elephant, the big elephant that has always been in the pulpit.
Come on.
Congregation at the front door parking lot. It's always been there. Once you start, pushing back a little bit, you get sat down. I've seen a lot of times people get sat down from leadership positions because they didn't agree with the pastor.
Come on. And it's like sometimes they feel like this person may be getting more influence over the flock than what I am. Or they got too much influence to my liking.
You're causing division.
Come on. Or, man, he or she is causing the people to be open-minded, to really think things through, to really question, to really want to go home now and look things up for themselves.
Yeah.
So now, technically, you're no longer their God.
Not. And you know what's crazy? A lot of times, church, that is the only time somebody is connected to Christ.
Yep.
Like you said, they're not going home. They're not reading. They're not reading the word. They're not doing a devotional. Barely praying. So
Right.
when they get to church, that's all they can condense God into.
Yeah.
Is church. So
Come on now. Come on. All right, so let's move on to the next question. We're moving on along. What are some red flags that a church or leader is operating in a toxic or manipulative way? Red flags for that.
I like what you said about not having a team to kind of hold the pastor accountable. Like if it's just a pastor and one deacon, or the deacon board and pastor, there's no, like you said, there's no diversity.
Yeah.
There's no difference of opinions.
Yeah.
That's a telltale sign. Like, okay, like you said, you only want yes men around you, so nobody will question you.
Come on.
So nobody's going to hold you accountable for your wrongdoings or, hey, you could have done XYZ in, this type of manner.
Yeah.
They don't want to hear that.
That's good. I like that. One thing that came to my mind was how some churches push money. Money. It's like everything is like money driven. There's always a motive behind the movement.
Yeah, those churches, like when you think about what the pastor is really teaching their sermons, it's always, you're going to get a blessing, or this is going to be your season. You're going to reap. Like if that's all that's all you're preaching about. Okay, I see it. Which I'm not the type of, Christian. I want my pastor to drive a nice car. I want them to live in a nice house because I do. So I have no problem with tithing accordingly. But it gets, like you said, it gets to a point, money. They like to hold money over everybody because I feel like a lot of times in the black church, if you have a little bit of money, people are going to look to you as being leadership material.
Yes, you are correct.
Leadership material.
They don't even look at your character.
No, as long as you can write a little check and you can smooth talk somebody.
You want to know something else I know is about people in certain churches when they have money, they get the most prophecies.
Ooh, you're right.
Come on.
Right. The people, and guess what? If it's people in church with money, you're not going to do anything or say anything to kind of push them away.
Oh no!
I've definitely seen that.
No! And if you do, you're gonna make sure you word that thing in such a great way
so they won't get offended. And take their tithes.
Yep. That's all. Come
money
on.
Money is money. I hate to admit it. Money has always been a top 2 focus in the black church.
I can see that. I can definitely see that, and that's one. Like I said. When you really just sit back and it's like we're trying to grow, but we're not doing the things spiritually that we really need to grow.
Absolutely.
We're not actually out in the community. We're not volunteering. We're not serving their community. It's certain things that you should be doing. Like, why are you trying to grow just to grow?
Yeah.
Like if it's just
what
like,
are you doing?
Right. It's just like me and Dwayne, we've always talked like, look, bro, if we're only supposed to touch kids in Alabama, then I'm not going to force it because we may not have the manpower or the funds to be able to go out over the world or over the United States right now. Maybe our family dynamics is not set up for that, whatever the reason. So I don't want to force anything that when I look at where I'm currently at, if I was to force it, then it's going to fail because we don't have the finances. We don't have the resources. We don't have the energy, the time. We don't have anything that's going to sustain this. We may be able to attain it, but we can't sustain it. Come on now.
That's something that
we get these big dreams.
And you forget about the community. You forget about the people down the street from you, the people that are where your church is. You forget about that whole community because you're so focused on growth and you're so focused on building up the church, your name attached to it. That has become the focus, and that's a if I'm out in the community and I if there are certain events in the shows, community wise, like service events, I'm expecting to see people from the church.
Yes.
And
Hands
so
down.
if I don't see that, I'm like, okay, y'all making all this noise, but y'all ain't in these streets.
Come on.
What are y'all doing? That's definitely a telltale sign that it's a toxic situation. But also,
What you got?
I think another toxic situation, the punishment culture in the black church.
Okay.
People getting shamed, publicly shamed.
Okay.
You got to come before the church and beg for forgiveness
Yeah.
from the church, not Christ.
Yeah.
You got to come before the church and blast out your sins. I saw that a lot growing up.
Is that scripture?
I haven't seen it.
Okay, let's
I used to ask, and I know this is mostly used back in the day for women that would get pregnant out of wedlock.
Okay, I'm familiar with
They
that.
would have, and as a young a young girl, let me preface this. My great grandmother, she was real active in church. I spent a lot of time with my great grandmother. So I picked up some of her wisdom and assessment skills at a very young age. So I'm 5, 6, 7 years old in the church, and I see these women coming up, these pregnant women having, they're out of wedlock, no marriage. But also, if the man is also in the congregation,
He
where is he? Musicians, they've had children out of wedlock. They can still play the drums, play the keyboard. But if somebody in the choir gets pregnant out of wedlock, she has to sit down. She has to sit down.
That's true.
She has to sit down. That public embarrassment, shame, toxic, red flag, run away.
I got you on that. So it says that forgiveness comes from God first. Then it does talk about confessing to one another when wrongdoing that other person, but it doesn't really say, scripture just looking at it on the glance. Now, I could be wrong. So
I have never seen it. And I used to, because again, as a young child, I'm seeing this. And I had it in my spirit then. God was telling me, this isn't right.
So it either it's not right or it's not being used right. Because if you're, like you said, if you're gonna call
if we're
up
gonna
the
call
female,
out sins, call everybody up here.
So everybody's gonna get rebuked weekly.
Call out the couple that's pregnant out of wedlock.
Come on.
Call out the deacon that's sleeping with the other deacon's wife.
Come on.
Call out everybody that's in it. Everybody come forward. We'll be in church all day.
Come on.
We'll be in church all day. If we're gonna call out sins publicly.
The only time I've seen in scripture where it does talk about calling sins out publicly is when leadership, like a pastor, has done something wrong and they bring them up. And then it's like, hey, go ahead.
I've seen that once in my 31 years of living.
Wow.
Once. I've seen it once where they brought a pastor to the stage, to the pulpit. Everybody prayed over him and he confessed. Once. Now, how many times have I seen women just, you need to come before the church?
Yeah.
Because my mom has told me, my mom, she was pregnant out of wedlock. They were married before I came, of course, but they were trying to force her to, and she said no. So they were pushing back then, but I feel like now the church tries to shame and show its toxic side in different ways.
I got you. It's crazy though to think that bringing somebody up in front of everybody and embarrassing the crap out of them, shaming them, the exact thing that Christ went to the cross for.
Yep.
Now you're putting the shame on them.
Yeah.
You're putting the guilt on them.
Yeah.
You're putting the embarrassment on them.
That's toxic.
But they've been forgiven.
Yeah.
So like you said, that means everybody in the church needs to be up there.
I don't have to ask man to forgive. I have my conversation, my relationship with Christ. I'm already forgiven.
No, now if I offend you, if I do something to you, then I go to
That's
you.
different.
And I ask, like, hey, sis, that was my bad. I'm sorry. You forgive me. I don't know what I was thinking. That's just, I messed up. Now that's different.
Yeah.
But bringing somebody up in front of the church,
That's
but yet you got your leadership hiding behind all the crap they do.
toxicity in the black church. That's top 5. Public embarrassment, humiliation, shame. Christ doesn't shame us. He could every day.
It's comforters, man.
That's not biblical.
Love hides a multitude of sin. There's certain things that you can do behind closed doors. And as a matter of fact, why is it the church responsibility to handle that situation instead of the parents? You see what I'm saying? Like, it's like, oh, okay, well, I ain't gonna discipline your son, or I ain't gonna say nothing to him. I'm just gonna hand you over to the church and let them embarrass you real good.
And I feel that that's kind of why a lot of people left the church, and that doesn't get talked about because churches are not full like they used to be.
No, not even close. Well, certain churches.
Yeah, you're
Certain
right.
churches.
Certain churches.
It depends on how the leadership, how it's ran, the culture.
Exactly.
Is like what I've learned now is like just really getting the word. Nothing extra, nothing added, nothing taken away, not your opinion, but strictly getting the word, being taught the way God intended it to be taught. You know,
Yeah.
That really helps me out better than going and listen to somebody that's just, oh, he's just a better speaker, you know, or he's this or that or that or that.
I
He's
used to
smooth.
say, I need some meat in my sermon. Like, you coming up here with some potatoes and some green beans? No, where's the meat? I need some substance. So that's definitely a telltale sign of leadership. Like,
Right.
what you getting when you lead here?
Yeah. See, that was another thing. Like we went back and started going through Sunday school stories and putting the meat back in it
Yeah.
because a lot of Sunday school stories was
People
taught.
still have Sunday school. Do churches still have Sunday school?
Well, I'm sure some churches do.
Some do.
But we took those Sunday school stories and we've been teaching and
Yeah.
learning from those stories the way it's actually written in the
Yeah.
Bible. It ain't no,
Man.
like even the story of Samson. Like everybody was like, oh, he's a hero and this and that and that. But Samson sinned against God multiple times.
He
But
did.
you never really hear nobody teach about that. You don't hear them teach about how the wife, even it says in scripture, was nagging him to the point that he would confess where his strength was coming from. She literally asked him over and over and over again. And the crazy thing was he would sit there and tell her different things. And then the Philistines would come in and do that thing and it wouldn't work. And he would still have his strength, he would kill him. So it was like, first I'm like, dude, why you keep listening? Why you keep doing this? You know she ain't for you. You should have picked it up. But it lets you know that how deep he was in love with the wrong type of woman. And then she nagged him and nagged him. He finally told her, and then he ended up getting captured.
Yep.
So it's like, but he would never got captured if number one, he married a Philistine. He should have married a Philistine. And then he goes against what was the other thing that he did? Of course, yeah, he told her about his hair.
Yeah.
Cut his hair. Like then he ended up going blind because they gouged his eyes out. But then God still in his grace and in his mercy still gave his strength back to fulfill not necessarily what Samson wanted, but what his ultimate goal was and destiny for Samson.
Yeah.
And so even in our worst days, God is still full of grace and mercy.
Still.
You know, so I don't know how we got on that.
I don't either.
But just going back to teaching the word. Like back in the day, we never heard the story of Samson being taught like that. Samson was a hero.
Oh, he had long hair that cut the hair. And
That's pretty much
even
it.
David and Goliath, like, he had a slingshot.
That's
he hit
good.
him.
That's a whole nother story too.
He hit him. And I feel like us just not getting the meat back in our childhood, we're having to double back and, try to relearn certain things or just dive deeper.
Yeah, because I don't think we really understand the reverence of God. Like we don't really respect him. Like we don't really fear.
Yeah.
It's like, man, I can go out here and just do whatever I want to do. And ain't no consequence. Or if something do happen to me, oh well, it ain't. There's where is that respect at? Where's that fear at?
I feel that can kind of be traced back to, again, the wrong people being in leadership. Everybody's not built to lead, and everybody is definitely not built to teach.
Okay.
So I think that gets lost in translation because you're not hearing, what the Bible really says.
Yeah.
You're hearing somebody's interpretation of what the Bible says.
Right.
So that's why the fear is not there. That's why the lack of respect is present because we're not being taught what was really God's intent of the word.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I feel that's what causes the Black church to kind of stay stagnant because people are not being taught.
Right.
I'll say certain churches are not teaching what needs to be taught. That goes back to the churches that got a lot of fluff. You're not gonna learn nothing. You're gonna hear a good motivational speech. There's nothing biblical being taught.
You're gonna feel good for the
yeah.
moment when you leave. There's nothing that you really can apply to your life.
Yeah, there was no internal look of your struggle right now. It's all about something abundance, like you said, money. So until we get back to where, as a whole majority, we're reading the word, understanding the word, and learning the word, I don't think nothing will change.
Yeah.
I don't.
I can see
sadly.
that. And then it's like when a red flag sometimes is when you go into a ministry and all like you notice that a lot of times they preach about how God should serve us in some kind of way instead of us serving God. And it's like, we're gods, which I get that we are, because we made in his likeness and his image. So we are small gods on this earth to an extent, but it's not to the point to where I can just demand that God moves when I tell him to move.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? Things like that.
And I think a lot of that can be, a lot of times they teach more so of not what you can do for God, but what you can do for God to get what you want.
Yes.
And like, oh, well, if you pray or you tithe, God's going to give you this, this, and that.
Name it and claim it.
He could do it, yeah, but it's nothing
guaranteed.
And you shouldn't have to do anything. You should do something because you love Christ.
There you go.
You know what the word says. You're not doing anything to get something back.
Right.
Like when I tithe, it's coming back. I know because I've given so much. But even if it was not to come back, guess what? I'm still gonna tithe.
Right. I'm just obedient to what God has put in my spirit.
Obedience has definitely left the church. There's no talk about obedience. There's no structure within the church nowadays. So
I mean, you really hardly ever hear preachers talk and preach on sin. Only the ones that truly have that heart for God and that truly have a heart for people, and they want the people to be blessed and changed and transformed.
Exactly.
See, if your members are not being transformed, then you're not bringing the word.
There's nothing,
because the word is going to do the transforming on its own as long as they are open to it.
Exactly. Once I really locked in my adulthood to church, that's when everything started making more sense. Yep. Everything was falling how it needed to fall. So you definitely have to get to a point where, okay, and a lot of times people feel they can't leave their home church because they're comfortable. They're comfortable. You're at your home church, at your family's church that y'all been at 30 years. You've learned nothing. You're still on breast milk.
Yeah,
like you ain't eating no meat. Like that's a problem. You have to get to a point where, okay, do I have to leave this church to grow? That's a hard conversation. A lot of people don't want to really ask themselves.
That is so true. And people just get, like I said, they're comfortable. And then also they've been under that leadership for so long. They're
afraid to question it.
Yeah. And they're really afraid to step out because they're afraid of the backlash they may get from leaving the ministry.
Do you feel that can be rooted in manipulation?
It is. It's not. There ain't no doubt about it. No, there's no doubt about it. It's control.
Yeah.
I mean, I still want to control you. I still want to be the seer over your life. I still want you to look at me, idolize me. Even though you're not saying idolize me, but the way you move, the way you control and manipulate, you're saying idolize me.
Yeah.
And so you want me to look up to you, put you on this pedestal because you don't want nobody else to get that.
Exactly.
So, and then I also truly believe too that a lot of churches, they know that when they lose members, they may never be replaced.
Absolutely.
Because they can sense deep down inside that this thing is slowly dwindling away. Yes,
the shift.
They know it is, because in other churches that know they're preaching the word, that know they're doing what God has truly called them to do, when somebody leaves, they're just like, okay, well, that's just
good for them, and it's all love.
All love.
It's all love. I done seen folks, they leave the church, they get talked about like a dog.
Man,
talked about like a dog.
Come on.
So again, it all goes back to, I don't want to say it. I really don't want to say it.
You don't want to say something?
I'm going to say it. I feel a lot like the old black church. I feel it was just based on red flags. And I feel we're having to do a lot of undoing.
Yeah.
And some people aren't getting undone. So
yeah,
we're still carrying on the toxicity and the red flags of the old church modern day.
I agree.
So until people are ready to have these conversations addressing, okay, yeah, I grew up in this church. We weren't taught what we need to be taught.
Yeah. And it's going to be a red flag, or it's going to eventually be an issue when like you said, there's no true board. There's no trustees. There's no board. There's no, and you need more than 2 or 3.
Yes.
And it's got to be diverse. It's just going back to what we talked about earlier. But if you don't have that in your church, I don't understand how you expect people to truly have full trust in you and in where the church is going. They're just going along for the ride, and whatever happens,
blind
just happens.
sheep.
Yeah.
Blind sheep.
And speaking of sheep, that's what leaders and pastors are supposed to be. They're supposed to be shepherds and not lords. And sometimes that crosses over. They think they're the Lord and just not the shepherd. You're just supposed to steer us, and help protect us where you can. But you're not our Lord.
I think that gets tied into certain pastors wanting power, wanting control.
That's good.
And once you're at that point where your ego and your pride comes to the church before you get in the church, that's the issue.
Yeah.
But nobody ever wants to talk about ego in the church.
Yeah.
And ego is one of the biggest killers. That's why people don't come back to church. Pride get hurt, they're not coming back.
Yeah.
Pride and ego is probably the two biggest killers in the black church, in my opinion.
Okay. I can see where you're going with that. That's good. Let's move on because we'll be on that particular question for another 20
It's a lot of red
minutes.
flags. A lot of red flags in the church. Sorry.
This may have possibly been a red flag. Who knows? Here we go. It says, how have roles changed for women in the church and its effects?
Ooh. So everybody know growing up in the black church, everybody in our generation, there was no women preachers. Women couldn't preach. I heard several times growing up, no women would be in my pulpit. Or, women need to know their place in the church. So now that we've kind of a little bit moved past that, again, my mom, she's an ordained deacon. But I do still feel that certain churches, they still hold that mentality.
Okay.
And also, because when my mom got ordained, it was 2022. And my pastor put it on Facebook. And there was a few people in the comments trying to question.
Yeah.
Why did you ordain 2 women as deacons? My mom has always been heavy in the church. There was nobody better suited for this position, than her.
Yeah.
So you have people with that old mentality. Oh, women can't do nothing. I'm not going to listen to a woman. A woman can't tell me nothing. So there's that end. And I feel people in my range, my age range, we see how women were treated back in the church. So that kind of prevents us from wanting to, we're traumatized. Like, women aren't supposed to do that.
Yeah.
And so we need to address that. Yeah, I feel like now people try to sweep it under the rug. Like, oh, we've always loved women. Women have always, hold titles and positions. No, I remember people explicitly saying no woman will be in leadership.
Yeah.
So as an adult now, I'm in leadership in my church. So I'm having to kind of learn how to be a leader and a woman in church because I didn't grow up with that.
So that's good. I don't know too much about this particular, this particular subject, but I've seen where some churches believe in having women. They believe in having women preachers.
No pastor.
Some don't believe in having pastors. Some do believe in having pastors.
Yeah.
And that's kind of tricky,
What does the Bible say?
Well, that's what I was that's what I was looking up over here.
I always say I need to see it.
Yeah, and
because people will say a lot, and I feel a lot of the doctrine in the black church, it was just old. He say, she say. This is what we've always done. We're not going to question it.
See, it says it's pretty much like it's a balanced overview. There are scriptures used against they use it against women, like 1 Timothy 2:11 and 12. I do not permit a woman to teach or to exercise authority over a man. Rather, she is to remain quiet. Now, this right here was back when women they didn't have the knowledge for real.
Exactly.
So that right there, that could be possibly taken out of context as far as a woman can be in that role. Then it says 1 Corinthians 14:34 and 35. Women should remain silent in churches. They're not. We just addressed that. That's pretty much the same thing. So that one right there, you can probably debunk that and be like, no, that's out of context. That's how they lived back then. That was the culture and the education. And then it says Jesus' apostles were all men. Okay. I can see what they mean by that. Then it says biblical arguments used for women pastors. Galatians 3:28. There is neither Jew nor Greek, slave nor free, male nor female, for you are all one in Christ Jesus. So basically it's saying that God looks at the spirit. It's a spiritual thing.
Yeah.
It's not about, a gender. Examples of women leaders in the Bible is Deborah. I think it's Phoebe. Or Phoebe.
Phoebe.
Then Priscilla. Junia. So prophecy by women.
Mm-hmm.
So it goes both ways.
You see how people misinterpreted, like
Yeah.
you said, misinterpreted the word. And we have a generation of women that are afraid to step into leadership because they're still holding on, which I know a lot of churches are still holding on to. I don't want to say Old Testament teachings, but essentially that's what it is. Like we're modern day. When you look at the church structure now, where are the men?
I would say, man, as far as like my opinion, now this is my opinion of a woman leading the church. I don't have a problem with it as long as she is truly has her emotions. She's very emotionally intelligent, and that'd be the main thing that we could, as men, was like if she knows the word, of course, all those things being equal. But as long as she is someone that is emotionally intelligent and she's led by God, she knows what she's doing. She preaches just a strict word of God. I don't have an issue with it. But you know, that's just me.
And so, I will say a lot of times women, we are held to different standards within the church. And again, that ties back to that toxicity and those red flags. But I definitely think we're making progress with women in the church. But some people still hold on to that old mentality.
Yeah. Well, I can see too, because I can see people talking about, well, you know, they can, just like God got marriage set up, you know. Man is the head, you know. But even with man being the head of the woman, that doesn't mean that he tramples over her and he just walks all over her. Because there's time
I've been on that soapbox
where she
all
leaves,
day.
you know. So
exactly,
that can go. It just depends, like your mindset, what your beliefs is, what works for you, what doesn't work for you, how strong of a conviction God or the Holy Spirit has given you concerning these certain things. Because just like in life, God may convict this person, they don't drink at all. And then God may only convict this person when they have a certain amount of drinks. So it's like, well, God, like, I don't have no issues with if this person is drinking and this person decides not to. Okay, that's cool.
Yeah.
Like as long as this person doesn't get drunk and he stays in his right mind and under the right spirit, that's why they call liquor stores, they call drink spirits, because it'll put you on a different spirit.
It absolutely will.
So as long as you stay in the right spirit, like, and you don't, you know, have a negative influence on someone else, then it don't bother me.
Yeah.
You know,
but
so
I will say for a lot of people, misogyny still is one of the biggest pillars of the church. They only want men in leadership. They only want to hear from a man. Like, it just makes it hard. But I definitely feel maybe within the next 10, 15 years or so, I feel we might be where we need to be, maybe.
And this is what the crazy thing is, to be honest. If men were actually in their roles and doing what they have been called to do, then we wouldn't really have to have this discussion, because men would be doing what they're supposed to be doing.
I feel like nowadays churches, I feel like they're majority women. I feel like men, the presence of men, because growing up, our deacon board was full.
But think about how the word was taught back then. Think about how, like, even like my middle from 25 on up, like how most churches teach the word. It is not really taught to get your husband to the church.
Oh no.
You know,
the focus of the Black church has always been on women. It's always taught submission, but it rarely talked about provision.
Come on. And then you look at it, it's like the women start holding on to the man of God's, the pastor's word, more than they do their own husband.
Ooh,
even though
tricky.
The pastor may say he's not teaching that, but through his teachings, that's what they pick up.
Yeah,
whether that's his intention or not. And then they go home and they be like, well, pastor said this. The elder said this.
Whose fault is that? Who can hold that not blame, but I feel if the man was with the wife at church, you know, y'all can both hear the word and y'all can apply it directly to y'all's situation. But if you got one person coming in with a little bit of word and the man ain't got no word.
Yeah. And see,
it's conflict.
If the man actually picked the church, was in tune with somebody that invited him to a church, when he got there and sat down, he could pick up like, oh no, this ain't where we need to be.
Yeah.
You know, or when stuff started to go left, it's like, okay, yeah, now it's time for us to, you know, get up out of here. I've seen that happen.
I have too.
You know, where a wife started going to the church, husband walk in, After a couple of times, he look at her.
Yeah.
Like, no,
you're not coming back.
I'm not doing
Yeah,
this.
you're not coming back.
So, but yeah, it's a twofold thing. You definitely, stats show that when a man leads his family to church, they're more likely to get saved as a family.
I believe that
So
wholeheartedly.
and I think that's just how God has it set up. Because
Yeah.
you know, your family for the most part is only gonna go as far as the husband or the father
Yeah.
is gonna lead them.
Absolutely. But that goes back to a different conversation of the Black family structure, which don't get me started because I have a 20-minute rant on that right now. So,
But it's just so many things that you learn while you're in the church, whether it's good, bad, or indifferent.
absolutely.
You know, and it's crazy that you would think that people would need healing from church. Like, you're supposed to go to church to get healed. Now you done went to church and you got hurt, you got offended, church hurt for whatever reason.
Yeah.
And now you got to get healed from that.
I have a private coaching service and I help I help women heal. A lot of women are healing from church hurt, whether that's them actually being abused in some way from church, which that happens physically and emotionally, spiritually, healing from that, or having a pastor that might have fallen off or did something he wasn't supposed to do. They have conflict with that because that was the person that they looked to for guidance.
Yes.
So just trying to navigate church hurt into healing, it's a lot. And I'm so proud of the women that are, and men too, that are actually having these conversations about church hurt, because you have to heal. There has to be healing. The Black community as a whole needs healing. Of course, the Black church needs healing as well. And I feel a lot of times people they just get the hurt and they don't get to the healing. Because it's like, oh, I'm not going back.
Yeah.
I'm not going back to church. So it's like a one and done.
Yeah. And that's the thing, man. Like, you don't want to be held accountable for people falling away from the faith.
I agree.
Then that's the big thing. Like, and like I said, man, it's like, I don't like how churches, when you do want to leave, they make it seem like, oh, if you leave my church, you're not in the kingdom no more. Oh, you left the church. Yeah, I left the church, but I didn't leave the kingdom.
Yeah.
I just shifted where I worship. I just shifted where I learned.
Do you feel that a lot of times people that experience church hurt, are they going to another congregation or are they just done completely? I've seen it on both ends, but I've seen it more that they're just not coming back to the church.
It varies. It varies on how deep their connection was to Christ.
Yeah.
And how deep their connection is to the community.
Absolutely.
Because now they have somebody else like, hey, I see that you left your church.
Oh, you ain't seen you in church? Where you
How
at
about
now?
you come over here and visit us?
Recruit.
And it's a whole lot easier, though, to go to a church where you've already built relationship with people in the community.
Absolutely.
You see what I'm saying? So now it's not like I'm going to a church, I'm a complete I don't know nobody. It's like, oh no, like when I walked in our new church, I knew quite a few people, even though it's a huge church. So I was like, I felt comfortable.
Yeah.
And they went out their way to make you feel comfortable. Because
As they should. That's the church. The church should be the most welcoming.
It was almost like it was just fake. I'm like, y'all cannot be this nice. Like, and it's been like that since day one.
Yeah.
And then now I'm a greeter and people see me greet. They was like, he can't be this nice. Like, no,
That's
it's me.
It's the same way at my church. Like, people come like, oh my God, everybody smiling, everybody hugging. That's how we get down.
Yeah.
That's how we get down. And the church didn't used to be like that. It used to, you come in, you don't get spoken to. Nobody's embracing you.
Yeah.
Like, unless that's your first time there and they're trying to figure out who you are or who sent you.
That first experience, walking up, like I'm literally outside the door, like, hey, how y'all doing? Good morning. Welcome. Some of them dapping up, some of them hugging. You
got one chance. You have one chance to put out a impression on people that potentially may join your church.
Yeah.
And I feel a lot of times that's not a priority. They don't try to, and a lot of times I feel churches are closed off. They don't want no new members. They don't want nobody coming. They might disrupt the flow.
Come on. Well, that's a whole nother
conversation. Y'all got to bring me back. Y'all got to bring me back because I got a lot to say.
We'll get you back. We'll have another topic for you. So let's hit this and then let's get them out of here. What happens when a leader refuses correction or surrounds themselves with only yes men? We kind of hit on this earlier, so we shouldn't have to dwell on it too long. But what happens when a leader refuses correction or surrounds themselves with only yes men?
That's a dangerous situation. I've never seen it. I've always, if somebody is refusing correction as the church body, what's that next step? I was asking.
No, I thought I'm like, yeah.
What's that next step? If you have a pastor that he's not listening to his congregation, he's not accepting feedback, he's not accepting different opinions.
That's
then
removal.
what? What does the church like? Again, there's no board, nobody. There's no accountability. There's no checks and balances.
There you
What
go.
is that next step?
So if you don't have it set up, then
what?
Then that pastor just rules and reigns as he feels.
And that happens more times than not. So I don't know how to move. Who can sit the pastor down when the pastor does something?
But see, that's why you're supposed to have that board in place.
Yep.
Like
I
that's why
agree.
you need accountability. You can call it whatever you want to call it.
Board
You need men and
trustees,
women
something.
that's on a team
Yep.
that can check you. I'm sorry, it is what it is. You need everybody needs to be checked from time to time.
Absolutely.
You and especially as a pastor, you have so much influence. You have such a mantle on your life. You need to be checked more than anybody.
That power can definitely go to somebody's head, and again,
Easily.
rooted in control.
And manipulation.
Yeah.
Come on, and fear.
Yeah, all of that.
Come on.
All of that.
So it's like if you don't have that, your church sooner or later is going to fail. Don't know how long it's going to take.
Yeah. Eventually.
Eventually it's going to fizzle out.
I feel like we need to get to a point where don't want to say this. We need to get to a point where we're telling people, you don't need a pastor. You're not fit to be a pastor. I feel we've gotten to a point where we're not honest in the Black church anymore. We're not telling people, oh, this isn't your lane. You might need to go do this. You may not need to be a preacher. You might can teach very well. That might be your calling. Again, I feel a lot of people mishear God and their calling, and that's rampant in the Black church. So
Yeah.
until we're able to kind of tell people like, hey, because I know, again, I know some people that are pastors, like, why? Who allowed you? Who didn't vet you enough?
Yeah.
And I feel that's a big issue in the church. So
Yeah, my son asked me the other day, we was talking about, I do some real estate investing, and we got to talking about, he's like, well, Dad, he was like, you gonna let me run the business? Like, as I build it, you gonna let me run the business? And I looked at him and I said,
how old is he?
he's 10.
Okay,
He was like, so
okay.
when I get older, whatever, you gonna let me run the business? Or who would you let run the business between me and your brother? Or something like that. That question came up. And I was like, it depends on what kind of person you are when you get grown.
Exactly.
It depends on if I can trust you. It depends on your
Yeah.
character.
Yeah.
Are you responsible? Your integrity. I went down this whole thing. I said, I'm not just gonna give it to you.
Inherit
You
it.
don't inherit this. Now it's gonna be certain things that you do inherit when I pass away.
Yeah.
As far as like, and I probably would, depending on how you and your brother are, I probably would have stipulations set up on that.
Exactly.
But it all depends on who you are. You don't just get it because of you're my son. You get certain things because you belong to me.
Yeah.
You're gonna get a lot. But there's certain things that you have got to show me
Exactly.
that you earn because of who you are as a person at your core.
Yeah.
Can I truly trust you?
And that brings me to a point, like you look at people that have got thrown into the role of pastor because they are somebody's pastor, like
Come on.
a pastor's child.
Come on.
So I feel those type of situations, like if I'm at a church and every pastor, the lineage has been your family, hey, I already see how y'all get down.
So the lineage has been in your family and there's no checks and balances.
Yeah, this y'all's church. And that's
It
exactly
is.
how they look
Come
at it. It's
on.
our church.
Come on. Well, you hitting it. You hitting it. I like this. But this is stuff that needs to be talked about.
It does. And until people are comfortable,
But see, they're going to be very uncomfortable listening. The ones that do listen, they're going to be very
you
uncomfortable.
gotta be. There's no growth in comfort
Come on.
at all.
So you got to
That's
you
a part
got
of
to
the healing.
get comfortable in your uncomfortability. Or you got to get comfortable in being uncomfortable.
Uncomfortable.
There you go. So I mean, we got one question left and then we done.
We're done.
All right, so what would you say to the person who's suffering in silence under a controlling leader?
I would say I would pray for discernment.
Mm-hmm.
I would pray for guidance. If you feel something, I know a lot of times people try to make certain people feel crazy for having certain beliefs, but you don't have to suffer in silence. Like, tell somebody, reach out, or that's why it's good to have people around you who know like your routines, how things flow. If you are in a situation where you get thrown off track, you need somebody in your life that can kind of like, hey, Are you good? Is everything okay? Because I've seen silent control in the church. I've seen it. I know what it looks like. I know how it can impact people. So definitely discernment, because I don't feel, if you're confused about if you're being controlled, God doesn't operate in
There
confusion.
you go. Okay, I like that.
He doesn't operate in confusion. So I always ask, I ask for discernment and guidance in almost every prayer.
Yeah. So my thing is, if you having to pray for discernment, that means you're already confused.
You feel it. You
Yeah.
feel it. You
So
feel it.
now it's like I'm praying like, how do I handle this situation? Am I supposed to stick this through? Am I supposed to leave? Is it toxic enough that I need to leave?
Why do we, as a church, why do we always have to suffer through something?
Right. You shouldn't have to.
I definitely agree with that. You don't have to suffer through anything. So if you are in a position where you're uncomfortable, especially, I look at church as a release. I wait all week. When I get to church, that's my place of comfort.
Yeah.
If you don't have that, why are you coming?
Come on.
You can stay at home or
Right.
find another church that will fit your needs. You don't have to stay. And I feel a lot of times that goes back to something that we don't have time to touch right now. A lot of people don't know that they have the option to leave.
Yeah. That's true. And I think some people think they're too weak to leave. They don't have the strength to leave.
A lot of people don't.
right.
They don't have the strength to leave because, again, that fear. Will I be welcomed back?
Yeah.
Will people hold grudges against me? Will they run my name in the streets?
Come on.
All of that.
So yeah, I mean,
Discernment and guidance. And if you need to go, you need to go. You don't have to struggle through anything. And until we get to a point where we don't hold struggle in such high regard, or, coming out of something, or perseverance, if those are not high on the list in the church, until then, people are going to think, okay, I'm committed to this church. I have to stay here. I have to put up with whatever. You don't have to. You can leave at any moment.
and I think a lot of times those people don't leave because of the power of manipulation that is in that particular church or those churches. They really have you thinking that you're not blessed if you leave.
You know what that is? Narcissism.
It is.
And a lot of pastors, preachers, people in the church, regardless of what your title is, narcissism runs deep in the church.
Wow.
It's all a mind game. It's mind control.
Yeah. I mean, I agree with you.
Manipulation turns into, you start questioning your loyalty to the church. It can go so deep. And people, until I started, expanding my knowledge on psychology and studying more as a social worker, looking back, it was clear as day what was going on. We were getting, I don't want to say brainwashed, but certain things are being taught to keep us in line.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm telling you, that control and manipulation, and they call it in church witchcraft. Like, it's just that powerful. Like, it is so powerful that you will know that you need to leave. You will know that they have done some stuff to you. You will know they have treated somebody else really bad. You will know that they manipulated you to get you to stay.
Yeah.
Or to get you in. You will know that they did all that, and you will still stay because that manipulation, that spirit, is just so strong. And
That
it's
hold,
like, man, if I leave here, man,
where am I gonna
my
go?
life gonna fall apart.
Yeah. I'm not gonna get my blessings.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna be connected. Yeah.
My whole life is at this church.
Control and manipulation runs deep. And until we start, I call it out if I see it. I don't have no problem. Like, hey, this is that. He's telling you this, he or she, whoever, they're not telling you this out of concern. They're trying to keep you still controlled.
Yeah.
So that's another topic, again, people don't want to talk about.
And it happens quite often. But it's done so smoothly that you will not even really be paying.
I'm trying to identify all of
It
that.
takes somebody on the outside sometimes to kind of, hey, you do know this is kind of cultish, right?
When I do therapy,
Like,
and it's such a hard conversation, because when I do my therapy sessions and I hear people telling me certain things, like, in my head, I already know what it is. And so when you're bringing that to somebody's attention, it's a hard acceptance. They're going to try to combat accepting what it is. So until the person is ready to accept, you've been manipulated, you've been controlled, they're just going to be stuck because they don't know that they have the power to move past that, to heal.
And see, in certain churches too, we kind of hit on this earlier. They set it up for you to idolize the pastor, and so, or the leadership.
Yep.
So when you idolize them, it's like you feel like you're so tied and connected to them that you don't. Not necessarily you don't want to let the church down. You don't want to let them down by leaving.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, they need me. Like I'm important here, or I've been here so long, and this is all I know.
All you know.
And they love me.
Yeah.
But as soon as you leave, they don't call.
You see them
text.
folks on Sunday, and that's it. That's the only time y'all communicate.
So, but we can. Is there anything else? Because we didn't hit it. We didn't bopped it all up upside the head.
I just want people to know, like, there's life on the other side. Like,
Good.
if you don't like one church, go find another. You don't have to suffer for salvation.
You don't have to suffer for salvation. That's good.
That's it. That's all I got.
Well, you didn't said enough. You didn't. I'm telling you. I'm wondering what kind of comments we're gonna get on this one, or what people gonna be saying while they watching it, because they probably ain't gonna comment.
Yeah,
But we'll see.
The revelation
It's
of
gonna be good.
it takes a while to accept the truth, and the more we have these conversations, I think the more we can kind of become more aware of the red flags in the church.
Yeah.
You know,
And see, the thing is, this is all about growth. Yeah, we called some things out, but the whole point though is to get people to open their minds up,
yeah,
to change,
yeah,
and to grow.
because we're growing. The world is growing, and the world is changing
And
constantly.
we've got to do better in all churches,
Absolutely.
and especially in the Black community. We've got to do better. And this is not all churches. This is not all Black churches, but majority of them.
A lot of them.
Come
Yeah.
on. But I've enjoyed the episode tonight. Miss Leslie Scott, you have definitely came through and lit a fire.
Thank you for inviting me.
Oh yeah, we're gonna get you back on. We're gonna come up with another topic. We gotta get you back on.
I'll be here.
All right. So that's the end of the episode. Another episode of the Elevated Chat Room. Elevate your mind, elevate your life. We out. You guys be blessed.